be if you're letting these two duos out in champs, like you are just admitting to lose. And obviously BLG noticed that, and they're just going to ban it away straight away, because I don't think there is a specific counter when it does come to the new Zeri build with that Triforce, because she's so unkillable with the Titanic Hydra as well.
Yeah, I think it's just such a powerful combination of things. But already we're seeing the Aphelios priority coming in here for Abel and BLG, already kind of saying, going back to tried and tested methods that we saw during MSI. They're taking out the Jace and the Maokai to kind of say, look, we're happy with this. It's a flex for them. They can put it mid, they can put it top. I will say we did see Yagao play the Jace in the play-in stage of MSI. Didn't look amazing, didn't look fantastic if I'm being totally honest. Didn't lose, but definitely didn't look as powerful as some of the other, you know, LCK, LPL Jaces that we've become accustomed to.
Yeah, I think I remember specifically in an interview with Tabi, I think it was the press conference right after MSI Finals, where they didn't they didn't realize the significance of this Jace pick when it does come to the mid lane meta, and we saw that JDG specifically not utilize this champion and take away 3 wins in a row. And I think in one of their interactions, Yagao was like, yo, look, we're gonna be playing in finals once again, can you not build Medjais? And he's like, yeah, sure, just play an AD carry. And that's what he picked. Jace is just such a high priority when it does come to this patch.
Yeah, there's no point in getting it if you don't have any AP scalings. But the Lulu locked in. That's a Lulu Aphelios on the bot side. You've got the Xayah as well. I would imagine we will see the Rakan ban coming out from OMG. Yeah, look, it's one of On's favorite carries, or one of his favorite engaged champions. It just makes sense to take that one off the board. I will say, though, for the side of BLG, you've left your support kind of wide open here. So there's going to be quite a few options taken away from you, I imagine, by the side of OMG. And they're going to have a pretty decent time, you would imagine, with the Aphelios Lulu to kind of let that one stick. And with the Sion as well, they're happy to scale.
If OMG wants to commit to the double support ban, they should take Blitzcrank away, as well as you already showed the Aphelios and Lulu for the side of this blue. But, you know, when we talk about On, his 2 iconic champions is the Rakan and the Blitzcrank, which made them so far, or go so far, into last split. But of course, it's already been taken away. So maybe On does go for something that can match up against this Lulu, or go for something that is going to be more initiative.
Like to see what they want to try and go for, but yeah, now it's going to be the Nautilus coming in. You mentioned the Blitzcrank, got to take that one away. Nautilus just as good sometimes, but can put himself in a bit of precarious positions if he misses and hits a wall. So we'll see how that one kind of goes, and gives you a bit of good pull play. And right now we're kind of seeing a very kind of standard front to back here for the side of BLG. You've got the Maokai. I imagine they'd look to put maybe an Ornn or some kind of tanky, maybe even a Malphite, you might see it in that top side to kind of maybe, you know, give themselves a little bit more of a front line. But with the Nautilus and the Maokai, you've got plenty to kind of work with. And for OMG, they're looking to try and maybe get themselves some reset city. You get the Viego locked in with that Ahri. You've got plenty to be going off of, and they will get it. So lots of mobility, lots of frontline available with that Sion, and they're looking to try and kind of, you know, make these skirmishes very scrappy and kind of keep them going as long as possible.
And it does seem it is going to be a Jace mid for Yagao in this specific matchup. But I think just looking at the 2 team comps so far, we do have the Gragas hover for that last pick, which is going to get locked in. Abian very strong when it does come to this laning phase, and unfortunately we have to see Gragas versus Sion in top lane, so that's not going to be the focus specifically. I think we need to focus on how these 2 players really utilize their CC when it comes to these team fights, because Gragas is the perfect champion when you do need to disposition a hyper carry like Abel on this Aphelios, so it's going to challenge him with how he plays these team fights. But the most interesting thing for me is that Aki has decided to go with the Viego for this game 1 alongside the Ahri, where they do want to go for those resets. But I think Aki not having the ability to engage himself, or at least go for those plays in the mid game, is going to be a little bit confusing for OMG, because I think Aki has a very strong voice when it does come to these team fights.
Absolutely, and I think that, I like that you mentioned the bin as well. We saw so many times, you know, in great Gragas Barrow can be the difference between a won and lost team fight. That's kind of where the lines lands, I suppose. But teams are locked and loaded. It is going to be game one of this best of three, and I think OMG are fairly happy with what they've gotten. You know, like you said, Aki's going to be able to kind of go forward with that Viego, build himself up, and kind of, you know, become that kind of shot caller / carry, while also having the Aphelios in the back pocket with the Lulu to kind of protect them. Whereas the other side, BLG, plenty of playmaking ability. You have the Nautilus, you have the Gragas, as you just mentioned. So I think both teams are definitely going to be looking to kind of be a bit more scrappy, and I'm hoping that just like yesterday's second series, we got ourselves a bit of a banger.
Most definitely, Oisin, and I'm so glad that I am back on this day one alongside you, because OMG vs BLG, two of the fan favorites we have in the LPL, and for very good reason. I mean, they were definitely the underdogs up against so many top tier teams, and they were able to get as far as they were, and of course, hopefully we get to see them shine even further in the summer split.
Absolutely, and look, I normally say that the split is a marathon, not a sprint, but it's a bit of both this particular summer split. We only have 7 weeks of play. This is kind of one of our less condensed weeks, as once we go into next week, it'll only be Monday and Tuesday that we have only 2 best of 3s, and then the rest will be 3 best of 3s. So plenty of League of Legends to be kind of bringing you all as the incumbent winners of MSI look to kind of go for it. But we'll see what BLG, how they look, and I think that's the biggest question on a lot of people's minds, is how they look coming. Haven't had, obviously, a huge amount of, actually just noticed there, Shun going towards that futures market there alongside that first strike, so he's looking for a bit of extra cash in his thing. But yeah, like, you know, again, we're looking to Shun, or we're looking to BLG to see how do they look? Have they, you know, adapted back? Have they, you know, jet lag? Have they been able to kind of get on the patch? These are the small little questions. And then also importantly for OMG, can they capitalize on what could be a very tired BLG?
Well, hopefully BLG is not jet lagged, because I'm definitely jet lagged, so I will tank it for the boys. Ppgod really needs to not get caught in this level 1, because once you do trade that flash for flash, Shun is more than happy to route towards this bottom side, and On is one of the most aggressive supports we have in the LPL. And I'm really excited to see how BLG will play out this composition, because we have Shun on a utility champion. And I think BLG, they find the most success when Yagao is the one playing utility. But for this game 1, he has decided to opt into the Jace. So he really needs to get in that mid push so Shun is able to look around the map with that priority.
Well, it looks like already he's going to put down a nice little ward there on the ramp just to see if he can catch someone else. It's not that deep, if I'm being totally honest. Normally we do see them, well, you know, it was kind of coined the faker ward. You kind of push in, get that ward down on Raptors so you get a perfect information. But this one won't really spot anything, really, for the time being at least, as we see both junglers happy to kind of go along their merry ways, get themselves their full clears. And then pretty much expected, top lane has push for the side of BLG. OMG should have push on bot lane, because unfortunately for Xayah, she's just not very good in the first few levels. She needs a couple more and maybe a half an item or so, but she has to be able to contest those wave pushes.
I'm pretty surprised that BLG has decided to opt into the Xayah when it comes to a response to Aphelios and Lulu, because I think Xayah, when it comes to these team fights, she doesn't have that range, like you said, when you do want to be matching the damage in these team fights. But Elk, playing the Xayah, you can avoid a lot of those dives from the Viego and the Ahri, of course. And I think Creme, once you aren't able to play with those picks from the charms, then it gets a little bit difficult for OMG.
See Shanji just taking a bit of punishment here in this top side. The Maokai off to the bottom of the lane to make sure that if there was any Viego while Bin looks to push in, he would be caught out. Now Aki gets spotted out in towards that mid lane, but they've just pinged it out there, so they know exactly where this Viego is. And information gained and garnered by BLG is definitely important, but it's not about having the information, it's about how you use that information that's going to be important.
We're going to get the two junglers meeting in the river. I do think OMG wins this, though. If Shun can't get away, he should be fine. He has a little scuttle.
I was going to say, I think Shun was going towards the mid lane, then realized very quickly, oh, Yagao reset. I need to get away from this as quick as possible. So a little bit unfortunate there for Shun, as just had an unfortunate timing there. Didn't have exactly where or when the Viego would be showing up, but we'll see. On going in, immediately a heal comes out. There's the Ignite cleanse used by Elk as the feathers come back. Just a trade of summoners for the moment. Like you said, Kitty, gotta be very careful of this this Nautilus. Once he starts landing those hooks and gets a little bit of extra health in him.
You already see Shun pathing towards his bot lane, which is going to be naturally a gank onto the bottom lane. I think you really need to shut down this Aphelios and Lulu before they get their items online. We have seen a lot of Lulus going the Ardent Sensor first as the item, but I think it is completely fine. You have a Viego and Aphelios for this game 1, so that is going to be the most ideal item. We don't have any wards for OMG though, so I'm a little bit scared for them.
A little bit scared, but nothing crazy happening for the moment. It should just be a pretty easy wave clear here now for the side of the OMG bot lane. So we see Shanji actually getting a fair bit of a push, actually. I'm not quite sure what happened because he hasn't gone back or anything. Both top laners going to go in for it, but I suppose just the natural sustain of the Scion just becomes a little bit more of an issue there. You get extra health, of course, with your passive. And you're just constantly scaling up. But we're going to see Bin TPing back to that top lane to make sure that that plate doesn't go down. And well, Kitty, it's, you know, I suppose a lot of people kind of, you know, coming out of MSI, they were kind of seeing the crazy team fighting, you know, the proactiveness of JDG and BLG. And unfortunately, it's not always that crazy. The meta right now doesn't allow for a lot of fights pre-6 for everyone.
Yeah, most definitely. Very slow start to the game, and it does seem like Aki will be farming for that level 6 before he looks for any potential ganks. But I think when we are talking about the current meta, I mean, Jace is the only anomaly because I think BLG and JDG are very kind of happy. Well, they really enjoy picking this Jace because they just think it has so much priority and damage when it comes to those team fights. Aki barely dodged it. I thought there was going to be no action for the first 10 minutes.
Well, there still isn't for the moment. We will see Yagao using that acceleration gate and the shock blast to make sure that he's able to get away on time. First strike on the sapling. Not going to be procced there by Shun, but I mean, it's kind of a bit of posturing here from OMG. They're feeling fairly confident to turn around and say, look, if someone walks over to us, we can maybe catch them out. But they've got a lot of single target CC. I think that's the key word there. They've got a lot of ways of locking someone down should they be able to get, you know, the charm off, of course, the stun, or the stun from Aki on the Viego as well. So, but with all this movement and priority now in the mid and bot lane for the side of BLG means they are going to start up this dragon, but it is on a ward, so they know this is going on the side of OMG.
We do have Creme getting first move from that mid wave. I think Aki just did 2 loops. Oh, the flash.
Flash there from Ppgod to make sure they can't get it. They're a bit clumped together as they look to try and put down these feathers. They can't really get the stun down just yet. Flash away by Elk because he knows that red and white for Abel means that he's ready to fight. The ult and the charm misses from Creme. They're going to see an accelerated shock blast just to pepper some more damage there onto Abel as everyone kind of just backs themselves away. We would love level 6 very soon here for Ppgod and for Abel, but don't know if he's going to get it quite yet, and it just means that we're going to see them go straight back onto that dragon for BLG.
On landing 2 hooks does mean that Ppgod and Aki had to burn their flashes from that bot lane skirmish, which is a huge loss. I'm pretty sure I saw Aki do 2 loops around the dragon, so he was really struggling to find an angle to get anything done on the map. I think he really needs level 6. This Viego champion is just struggling to get anything done as we see Shun taking the first dragon on this map. But Elk, he is now level 6, so I think he is completely fine with trading that flash when it does come to that 4v4 in the bot lane.
And level 6 here for Abel. Ppgod on level 5, and it was be a little bit of a movement there. I'm not quite sure how close or how far away. Actually, you can see it there on the bottom left. Nautilus and the Lulu shouldn't be too far away from their ultimates, respectfully. Shun has got himself the Nature's Grasp as well, so maybe looking to try and make this one work. Remember, they know that there's no flash on Ppgod, and that's probably the target they're really looking for to try and go for. Cleanse has to be used, a flash, and they're going to jump onto Abel. He wanted to save his support, and unfortunately, he gets punished, loses both his summoners and his life.
But On's insane on this Nautilus so far. I think he's landed 2 and 1. I mean, Aki had to burn the flash just to dodge it. And Abel, he thought he could get away with tanking the Maokai ultimate with that cleanse, but On landing the follow-up hook, and maybe Ppgod's in trouble once again.
Yeah, we're going to see them go straight in on top of him. Shun flashes in, gets the Nature's Grasp down, and they'll donate that one over to the fund of Elk, who is gladly receiving that particular one there. So nicely done here by BLG to get themselves a 2-0 on that bot side. We'll see On taking a fair chunk of damage. Needs to be very, very careful with how you get this reset, but a plate 2 kills. The Rift Herald, definitely a good job from the BLG bot lane.
Yeah, BLG getting their job done. They're just stopping the scaling from the side of OMG's bottom lane. And I think Shun, when he did place the ultimate, he just avoided the ward at the tri-bush. So it was a very good ultimate from the BLG jungler. And unfortunately, Abel just got caught out of position as his wave was slow pushing towards BLG.
Yeah, I will say Aki was doing a fairly decent job of kind of capitalizing on the Rift Herald, gets that picked up for himself, and of course has been actually storming ahead in terms of the farming as himself almost a 4 or 5 camp lead at this stage. But we'll see what he can do with that Rift Herald. It doesn't really mean anything much in terms of the gold as well. You can see at the top of your screen there, it's actually only about 200 gold. Actually, not even. It goes straight back up. It's only a couple of hundred here or there. So even though you do get the 2 kills, and of course 2 kills onto Elk means he is running straight into that Kraken Slayer. No longer a mythic, but still does a fair bit of damage. Means that you're going to be kind of seeing a little bit of different priority in terms of the power spikes now between these 2 teams.
It also seemed like On was trying to look for something in the mid lane, and Creme had to burn his ultimate as a result of that. So, I mean, OMG kind of just seemed like they're playing into BLG's hands, as they're the team that has more initiative when it does come to this early game. But that's what we expect out of a Nautilus and Maokai playing around Elk, and he already has the Kraken Slayer to the point where he's able to 1v2 in the bot lane.
Yeah, it's funny as well, actually. We're kind of seeing this, or I believe it was Munchables and Lyric yesterday discussing this, of a kind of a situation where the Kraken is still a very rushable item, at least in the eyes of a lot of AD carries in the LPL. So normally we're obviously hearing a lot of the Static Shiv, the Storm Razor, the IE, but still definitely favoring it. Maybe kind of saying, look, if I'm going to lose the early game skirmishing, I might as well just all in on getting that, you know, big late game spike, because you do get the extra, you still get the extra kind of, you know, health percentage damage. So we'll see if it ends up sticking in other regions for the moment. Shun looking to kind of come back down towards this bot side, and they're looking to try and fully commit to this one here with a teleport coming in from Yagao. This is a full 4v2 situation. No minion wave, though, means they're going to be able to take out the Lulu and the Aphelios without any real contest. And BLG, they're not looking tired at all. They're looking to continue their MSI form right back here in the LPL.
A 2 for 0, and 1 kill goes into Yagao, plus some plays for Elk as Abel is denied another wave. I mean, BLG is just constantly diving the bottom lane of OMG, where they're not able to do anything on the other side of the map. We see Aki finally placing that Rift Herald in the mid lane and having that gold going towards Creme, but we don't see the same type of movement coming out of the duo for OMG in the mid to jungle, where they're kind of just doing nothing in this early game.
Yeah, it's a bit of, you know, inactivity as an activity. You know, you don't make a choice, therefore it's a choice in itself. And definitely feels like BLG just coming out so much stronger right now and really looking to try and be much more proactive in making these plays. And even things like that, using the Hex Blast. Like, if he misses, they don't lose anything from it. Look at the wave states. Look at the maps in any way of, like, losing a cross map.
On going for another sneaky hook, but look at the vision control that BLG has able to plant down after the dive in bottom lane. I think it's going to be really tough for OMG to even face check this, because you have a Viego and Lulu. Whoever gets hooked just instantly dies from the amount of damage that BLG has on this side. Just quite, yeah, 13 minutes. Look at On, he's just placing wards everywhere. He doesn't care. It's not like Aki can kill him anyways, because this Viego doesn't have the damage just quite yet, unfortunately. And the support and jungle duo taking over the game, which I do also want to highlight, is exactly what we saw at MSI. We saw that BLG had a very shaky start throughout the play-ins, but the biggest difference was definitely Shun and On getting their synergy together and making so many proactive plays in this early game.
Yeah, Storm Razor finally finished up here for Abel, but I don't think Elk's a million miles away from it either, so definitely going to see them look for an engage here now as the support and mids try to help out their junglers. Good charm there from Creme onto Yagao to stop him from joining up on this fight. TP going to be coming in on the backside though, and that is going to be Bin. Heartbreaker over the wall keeps Aki alive and well, but you'll lose the teleport. But now they might just turn themselves right back to that bot lane and say, hey, look, we may be looking for a little bit of a dive on this Aphelios.
Abel just has to leave. This bottom side jungle is, you can't enter it for the side of OMG, and they are forced to play towards top lane, but your top lane is a Scion. We don't see Aki countering any dive from the side of BLG, and I think he's really running out of options here because we also have Creme on the Ahri in the mid lane, not really going for anything on top lane either, where it is Jace. Oh, poor Abel, he can't do anything.
Not really at the moment, no. We are going to see a dive in that top side as they look to try and take down Yagao. Now kind of isolated away, a flash for flash. Shanji keeping himself in tow. Nicely done there by OMG. Finally getting themselves a little bit of reprieve and should be able to pick up this tower as well.
Not the worst result, but that kill going towards the side of OMG. Is it enough? Maybe. Could be the start of something, but Abel is just so behind compared to Elk when it does come to that CS. 30 behind at this moment. I was surprised that Creme also didn't roam up. I think he was zoned out by 2 people in the river. But you see, we have Lucidity and Everfrost, and I already hear Nightmare complaining in my little ear about how this Ahri damage is going to be non-existent when it comes to these team fights. And you need to remember that Abel being set so far behind, he is supposed to be the hyper carry when it comes to these team fights, and you're really going to be dependent on Aki getting those resets when it comes to these mid-game skirmishes.
Yeah, again, great flash by Shanji, just going to isolate him out, and this is the power of the Scion. It's why we're seeing such a priority from top laners now to kind of say, look, you know, he's just a wall. He just runs at you, and there's nothing you can really do about it. Nice sidestep there from Shanji as Yagao looks to try and get a little bit of a trade back here. Might be a 5v5 around this Rift Herald, though, as 16 minutes into the game, we are seeing full items being picked up. Here we go. We're going to see a full engage there on top of Aki. Abel getting caught out. And everything thrown at him, including the kitchen sink. They're looking to maybe burn down Bin, but he's still fairly healthy at this stage of the game. And with Aki dead, so difficult for them to really go for anything else.
And there's a problem with OMG's composition. You don't really have the ability to face check any objective when you don't have vision control, or at least lane party when it comes to this top side. And Aki, he had to go in first, and unfortunately, getting one shot from the side of BLG, and we saw a full combo onto Bin, and I think from Abel as well, and Bin barely dropped to half HP. There's just not enough damage to do any skirmishing right at this moment, and I don't think they're going to get any stronger unless BLG make that mistake.
Absolutely. I mean, like, it's so difficult. Look at where the gold is kind of situated on the side of BLG as well. 3-0 and 2 onto Elk means that he's got himself that Gale Force alongside the Kraken Slayer. So he said it couldn't be done. Has science gone too far, but does have himself the 2 old mythics combined. And yeah, I mean, Aki, once he gets caught by that single CC, it just kind of keeps piling on, just bit after bit, little after little. It's just so difficult for him to walk away.
And talking about CC, I'm not sure if anyone noticed, but Abel got Maokai ulted into Gragas ult. He was getting dispositioned everywhere, and I think that is going to be the biggest problem for Abel, is just there's too much CC from the side of BLG for him to do anything, especially being set behind. So I'm really wondering how OMG is going to play of these team fights, because I think Creme needs to be the first one to get that charm onto someone that doesn't expect it.
Yeah, I tend to agree, and we'll wait to see now how OMG respond, because right now it's all BLG, and it's only a 2,500 gold lead. You can see already Shanji, a couple of auto attacks there from El, means that he's definitely struggling to kind of deal with this one here. The Gragas looking for a bit of a flank. We see decent poke coming out from the Jason. A good hook there straight onto Creme as he's forced to go into Zhonya's. But how can you really fight this as OMG? There's just so much being thrown at you. And Elk is just completely untouched. They are shredding through these Hellfires, and there's just nothing OMG can do.
And of course, in classic LPL style, we have a 5v5 in the mid lane at 18 minutes. And I mean, I think we have some of the best Gragases we've seen around the world. Bin and 369 just really utilizing how this ultimate gets placed in these team fights, to the point where Aki just got blasted into the middle and got one shot by the carries of BLG. But I think OMG in a very sticky position, losing 2 towers and this 3rd dragon and the entire control of this bottom side. I mean, without vision, Ahri and Viego just don't really work.
I mean, this is domination right now by BLG. So much going just absolutely perfect. And it's not as if OMG are making big mistakes. It's just BLG are just playing better, full stop.
they're playing 5v5, but they just don't have the damage to ever go even when it does come to these team fights. We even have the red and white, but nothing is dropping in terms of health bar. And of course, with Aki gone and Creme going utility, Abel just doesn't have what it takes to make up for that lack of damage. But talking about something else, I think BLG is playing extremely consistently ever since MSI, and I'm very happy to see that Yagao on this stage. A lot of people keep calling him a utility player, but definitely put in the work ever since MSI, and I'm very excited to see if this Jace pick is going to become a high priority for other teams as well.
Yeah, tend to agree that BLG have definitely gone from strength to strength ever since spring playoffs and continued it at MSI. Of course, they'll be a little bit disappointed that they lost to JDG in that finals, and have yet to really kind of, actually not yet to really, have not actually beaten JDG in a best of 5 so far this year. And they've played each other 4 times. That's kind of, it's kind of insane that we're already into summer split. They've played, and we've already seen 4 best of 5s between BLG and JDG. Of course, JDG will be playing later, but for now, BLG taking this task in their stride right now is looking so good with everything they've built up for themselves. And again, they came on with a very kind of set way they wanted to play from draft. They locked in the Jace and the Maokai nice and early. They said, yeah, we're happy with this, we know where we want to go with it. And you only have so many bans. You had to ban the Rakan, you had to ban the Blitzcrank, and it just meant that you had options like the Nautilus, and of course the Gragas then was left to be open as well. So I think that BLG just looking very comfortable so far in this game, and like you said earlier, it's going to come down to either a BLG mistake or an OMG God play for them to really go for it. But that's a nearly 3-item Xayah who is just shredding through your front line. There's nothing you can do about it, Shanji. He'll have to try and run away now. You don't have a front line available to try and keep Abel alive, and he gets jumped on, bopped up. Welcome to the bounce house. Double kill for Shun.
And Creme with the ultimate has to use it to get away, as we see OMG getting so desperate to get anything done on the map. But I think at this point in the game, Baron's going to get started by BLG, and it's going to be extremely hard for OMG to come back from this game state. Honestly, respect, I think Shanji going straight forward and trying to get onto Elk. Unfortunately, only burning the ultimate from the Xayah, not even a flash, just means the next team fight is just going to be as hard. As I feel Creme on this Ahri is very silent when it comes to these team fights. We don't see the Ahri trying or being on the same page for the rest of the team, and it just really seems like OMG, they just lack something when it comes to the communication.
Yeah, I mean, like, they're going for something here, but then, again, it's a 2.5-item Xayah, excuse me. She's going to just destroy that, and she's built purposely to try and take you out. She had the Last Whisper, it's now a Lord Dominic's Regard, but before that it was Last Whisper, Kraken Slayer, Gale Force. It's like, you're just going to lose percentage HP so damn quickly there as Shanji, so you just cannot stand up to the Xayah anymore. And honestly, I really need to kind of sing Elk's praises, because Elk is quickly becoming one of the AD carries in the league, in a league that was built off of legendary AD carries. Jackie Love, Uzi, these names that kind of everybody knows about. You're now looking at someone like Elk, another, kind of LPL AD carry that's just looking dominating and really kind of showing that he can be the carry his team needs.
Yeah, Elk is definitely a very standout player when it does come to the ADC position. Definitely one of the most aggressive team fighting ADCs we saw at MSI. And just a little bit of a fun fact, I think he had the highest damage share as an AD carry, sitting at 34%, and that is just saying how much he does when it does come to these crucial 5v5 moments. And I think Elk also, he didn't have that big of a shine-off performance at the start of Spring Split, but now people definitely know his name.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Like, again, it's always difficult to kind of, bring up a name in terms of the AD carry logs when you're talking about the likes of Gala, of course. You've got Ruler now in the league, who's looking absolutely fantastic, honestly, the form of his life. But it is just kind of the way it is. I think that Elk is quickly, if he can continue this form, will be putting his name alongside some of those big accolades. But here we go. This could be the final fight.
Oh my
God! Elk not taking any caster curses and is just deleting everyone. He's 1v3ing. He's literally dealing with every single person on the back line. And there's just nothing that Shanji can do here. He'll have a slow and painful death, even throughout the TP, because he knew exactly what was going down. And in just over 24 minutes, BLG will decimate OMG in game number 1.
Look, Oisin, I know we're on patch 13.10 and assassins are broken, but when did Xayah become an assassin? Because Elk just 100-0 the bottom lane of OMG. Able still having those two summoners just meant no one expected the Xayah to do just that. But game one going towards BLG in a convincing manner.
Yeah, I mean, they'll throw out a couple of KDAs there to make sure they had a bit of fun, but they also got the kill there right at the end onto Creme, who I believe was 0-0 and 0 up until that point. But I mean, that's 2 towers. I can't see how this could be any better of a start back into the LPL for BLG. That was clean, that was dominating, that was just perfection nearly from them.
Exactly what we expect as our MSI representatives and also finalists. But I think Elk is just showing to be as consistent as ever, and Yagao introducing this Jason to his champion pick definitely does help Shun to make a lot more plays in the early game. And I think we need to also finally mention on this Nautilus, he made everything happen on the map. He was looking for those picks in the mid lane. He got the summoners and the kills into Elk's pocket in the bottom lane to the point where we know that this meta is very centric around hypercarry ADCs, but is Able even going to be able to get to that point? We don't know.
I mean, he got so far behind so quickly. I think like 15 minutes in the game, it was a 3-0 to Xayah. He was just finishing his Stormrazers when she was finishing her Kraken and Gale Force. Like, this is where we're at now, where it does feel like if you can get that bot lane going, and BLG know it. BLG threw so many repeated 4-man ganks down that bot side. Shun was basically living there, didn't worry about top lane at all. I know I said, oh, we kind of, you know, with Shanji and Bin as the names in the top lane, I always feel gravitating towards them. But it's a Gragas and a Sion. You're never going to get anything done. So really, really well done from BLG. And honestly, they are becoming a tour de force. They are becoming a massive kind of, team in this, this league that is just so already stacked in my head. There's like a top 6 and then who knows?
Yeah, and of course, talking about OMG, we need to also mention that Creme on this Ahri just didn't do what it was supposed to do. As we had the Jace vs Ahri, she was struggling to get that lane party in the mid lane, where I think just as a mid-jungle duo from the side of OMG, they weren't there for any of the dives for the bottom lane, and it was just, we saw a lot of inactiveness, like you said, in the early game, and I believe Ahri even ended up 0-0 and 0, and that's just saying how much they were doing when it does come to these team fights.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, look, OMG, I still hold out a lot of hope for them. And this is something that Lyric touched on yesterday. When the start of the split comes in, every single team, whether you made changes or not, I always expect a little bit of rust, a little bit of kind of, slow to get going. BLG did not show that. BLG showed that, look, they took a week off to get from MSI to LPL, and there is no rust to remove. They have themselves plenty of practice, and they are willing to kind of go back on stage. But for OMG, I still think this is a great team that can do great things. I just need to see more proactivity. Because like you said, nothing really happened. I mean, look at the Aki damage. Like, you're playing the Viego, dude. Like, you need to be proactive. Nearly double damage across the board, apart from Shanji, who's on the Sion. So I don't even think that's really a positive.
Yeah, very tough to be a Viego in this game one, as you are just dealing with On and Shun constantly invading into your own red side jungle, and I just think Ppgod and Aki really struggled to get any vision down, which made Creme's life so much harder as that Ahri that was looking for the picks onto the carries of BLG. I mean, Jace, champion like Jace, you need to gank him early, or at least get picks onto him to the point where he isn't able to get those items online and do 19k damage.
Yeah, I mean, it just was BLG all the way. I don't think I can put it any other simpler way. It was just BLG from start to finish. Once or twice that OMG were able to kind of be proactive. They got a kill, but that was about it. That was literally the extent of where OMG could take it. And now we kind of go into